Looking to lend a little hand this holiday season? Do your part in helping out those in need. You might want to consider getting involved on some level with Operation Secret Santa. Here's a quick overview. Formally kicking off on December 15th, Operation Secret Santa, that's hashtag OSS, is a world grassroots, strictly people-driven, Christmas charity, telethon-styled internet campaign. Referral marketing, or what's otherwise known as word of mouth, drives the project's big red sleigh, with all money, donations, and the like going directly to the needy who are selectively sponsored. The four main categories of participants we're looking for include 1. Live streaming web show hosts, speakers, producers, and performers. 2. Operator matchmaking elves, making their lists and checking them twice. 3. Secret Santa sponsors. And 4. People in any place around the world living in need, worthy of a little Christmas hand up. This year's organizers are presently working on mobilizing and building upon last year's preliminary success, with donation levels capped at a suggested price value limit of $1,000. If you've any further questions, be sure to drop by WPRPN.com or check out our groups on both Facebook and Minds.com via a keyword search of simply Operation Secret Santa, hashtag OSS.
Merry Christmas, everybody! Merry Christmas!
Hey folks, that was a advertisement for the gentleman I'm about to have on right now. I want to introduce you to a man who I met. That's why the picture of Art Bell's up there. There was a guy that used to do like a paranormal news thing. His name was Leo Ashcroft, and we would be in his peanut gallery. He had his own little show on there for a while. I can't even remember the name of it. And I met this guy by the name of Japhy Ryder. He's Canadian. He lives in Korea, has lived there for a while. He can talk about that if he wishes. But the purpose of me having him on is because he did something from back when I was shitposting at Belgab and just being a shitlord. He went from just being in the peanut gallery to running shows on that network. I think it was Dark Matter Network or something like that. He can clarify on because I'm forgetting. But the whole thing is he started running a show. He also took over the Art Bell fan forum on Facebook, and then he decided, you know what? I'm just going to make my own network, and it's really an amazing thing to see what he's done. So I wanted him to come on and tell you exactly how he built this network, and how we'll start out with how we met. If he wants to talk about that, he can. He's a great guy, a hell fellow well met, and you know if I have somebody on my podcast, it's because I have much respect for him. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce all of you to Mr. Japhy Ryder.
Quite the introduction there, Shuff. Thank you so much. So where do you want to take the conversation from here?
Well, let's just start from the beginning, how we met, and just carry on with that, brother.
Well, I think we have two vaguely different recollections. The Leo Ashcraft story is pretty accurate as far as the peanut gallery end of things is concerned, and us first crossing paths in the kind of behind the scenes portion of what he had put together back in the day. And that was around, I'm thinking maybe about almost 4 or 5 years ago now, if memory serves. But yeah, from there, we really kind of fell out of touch for a while until just recently coming back into contact with one another via Minds.com. I think it's kind of a humorous or semi-entertaining story. Maybe you'd like to share that with your listeners, or how would you like to work it?
Oh, I can share my end of it. And then everybody knows I have mad boomer skills on the internet. So, in my recollection, I get this message, "Hey, dude," on Facebook, because we're friends on Facebook, but we, like you said, we hadn't talked for quite a while, and I get this message on Facebook, "Hey, dude, why'd you defriend me on Minds?" And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're not friends." And I said, "I don't know." And I guess we sorted it out, and he walked me through it. This is fact. He walked me through it, and I accidentally deleted him.
Yeah, it's just a simple little kind of snafu was all it was. So I wasn't going to make any false assumptions, though, because that's just something that is almost, it's the sort of thing I try to stay on top of and be on the lookout for, with my internal logic, as it were, as to what could potentially be the situation or state of affairs. So I just didn't know, and that's why I reached out to you saying, "What's going on? What's the deal?" So, and
I'm glad you did.
But then, and then from there we happily reunited and have been in touch and correspondence ever since, and doing a fair bit of collaboration, it would seem. Some of your listeners are aware, of course, that you have been dropping by and helping out, contributing with our World Pirate Radio News, the midweek muck around is what we call it. It streams out every Tuesday night, Wednesdays in Asia, of course. So it's Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, out of the Western time zone, Pacific Standard Time, Eastern time zone, I guess that's 11, of course. So where we cover all the latest current events and hot issues, as well as some of the items that maybe, big media, mainstream media has not stopped to take a look at, unfortunately. And we do what we can to dive into things, as well as always just offering our own take on what is actually at stake, really, or what is going on with respect to any of the latest breaking news items. And I think the perspective that we bring to things, of course, too, is a little bit different than what the more polished professional talking heads do. I mean, those people, you know how it works, Shuff. You've actually, I think I'm not mistaken in saying this, but you've appeared as a guest speaker on various, semi-major news networks at various points in your past and history, and there's a lot more to it than what meets the eye. But many of the speakers, of course, very well polished, trained. That's actually maybe not the best word. Although, yes, sure, with Operation Mockingbird and the like, absolutely. If people aren't up to speed or not familiar with what that was or is, according to Wikipedia, I believe the way they have it stated there is allegedly was, as if there's some debate regarding the whole matter, and secondly, that it's also leads us to believe that it no longer exists or is present or active in any way with us here today, which I would be willing to bet that it very much is, of course. So we'll leave it, hand it back over to you, I suppose. Yeah. I'm not sure if I really responded to what you're hoping for me to provide you with as far as a response or the kind of feedback you're looking for.
It's perfect, brother. The thing about it was, when we got together, a couple things about, he had told me what he'd been doing, and he said, "Look, listen to my show," and then I'm listening, and he has this a couple philosophies. He can get into it, but the major one that really was like, wow, this guy's on it. He was like, "Don't believe what I post," or what I say, research what I post or say. And I was like, so refreshing, because Japhy does not put his, I guess we all have an ego, but it's not like he's just like I am, a regular guy. We come from two different places. He's a Canadian, I'm an American. And like I said in the intro, it was really refreshing to be able to have man talk. And we also have a female that comes on WPRPN, Princess. I mean, I got to give her a shout out, Princess Jaybird Wells. Phenomenal person, but he attracts like-minded people. And I guess that was where I was going with it. If you want to talk about your philosophy, notice for the folks out there, he has something that you can tell him the caricature I used has been his caricature forever. And it's, I'm going to get it wrong, but it looks like Burger King. You're in a Burger King, but it's, you say what it's about, brother.
It's kind of a parody, I suppose, just a bit of a spoof, and the Philosopher King, because as with a lot of people, I'm interested in studying all various types and forms of philosophy, and to call myself a king, well, that would be a bit of a stretch, obviously, so not even close. Philosopher Pauper is more like it, or beggar. So yeah.
For people that don't know you, he will say stuff tongue firmly in cheek. So you have to understand, that's what makes that such classic Japhy. Sorry about that, brother.
How about, maybe the whole idea of chowing down a few burgers while we discuss Nietzsche, over a plate of fries and couple Big Macs or Whoppers. Yeah. So it's just it's a cute it's just a funny and goofy avatar, and I've had it in place there for a while. I'm stuck with it, and even as you were saying earlier, just before we launched the stream, actually, that it's been with me for a while now, and something that if anyone wants to find me, that's how they can go about doing it. Just look out for the Burger King icon, and there I will be.
That is true. That is true. That goes back when we first met. Like he said, I regret that I wasn't in on the ground floor of it, so I could actually be not ignorant on how he started his network. But I'll tell you this, from where it started, when I just came on, and that's been almost a year and a half, 2 years, close to, somewhere around there. It's been a while. And I've seen his network, WPRPN, World Pirate Radio Podcast Network, grow. And it's become something that's, the listenership has grown. He has 2 shows that he puts on. I want him to get into those 2. But it's actually become a network where we all are interlinked in some ways, and we give each other shout outs, and it's not like it's paid advertising. It's because it's a network of friends and acquaintances, friends, however you want to put it. I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, WPRPN actually came about sometime after Pirate Radio podcasts had been around, and I don't think we really got into that whole business of how even that emerged. It was sometime shortly after the whole Leo Ashcraft. It was kind of a gong show, really. I'm not sure how else to describe things. Unfortunately, I can't. It was a learning experience, and
indeed,
I guess that's the best way, a most polite way of putting things. But from there was just various people who said, hey, because you have such a, what they told me was, wonderful voice, that you should do something with that, and not realizing, of course, there's so much more that goes into just playing the role of a host than having a decent voice. You know, you've got to be on point, and you got to be just all so many different places at once, frankly. It seems, at the same time, able to remain centered and focused and maintain a flow of consciousness and so forth.
Yep.
You know, and it all just really depends. So today it's a little different for me, of course, because I'm in the hot seat, and it's something I've been working on since we mostly launched the midweek muck around end of things with World Pirate Radio News, but also just going back over the past couple of years, I've been plugging away and trying to up my game, as it were, as a host and commentator of sorts, I suppose. But this whole idea of stepping out onto the tight wire, doing the high wire act, it really it's challenging, to say the least. I mean, maybe natural, rather public speaking is something that comes to you naturally. To me, it's been a huge challenge, and that's in fact one of the reasons that I took up this. Well, the seeds and the origins. Let's just take it from there, shall we? The whole business. How did we get into Pirate Radio podcasts? Well, what happened was there was a social media kind of VoIP, that's voice over internet protocol, although really it was more than that because it included video as well. This platform that was in place called blab.im. I got involved in that. Unfortunately, they had a heavy tie-in to the Silicon Valley region, San Francisco and the like, and I think probably most of our listeners can understand how that goes as far as their complete disregard and disrespect when it comes to standing in support of people's freedom of speech. It just doesn't happen. And as we're seeing now throughout social media, the so-called Kraken, as I like to put it, Facebook, Google, here on YouTube, of course, stories of shadow bang, the like over on Twitter. What we are experiencing or witnessing and observing is quite sad, to say the least. I'm not sure what you could attribute that to exactly, but
Indeed.
Anyways, what happened over on Blab was actually I ended up getting kicked off the platform, and rather than be ashamed of the matter, I think it's important for me to wear that as a badge of honor, because there was no good reason for the whole business, frankly, at all. Period. Believe me. And if you don't, check out what I have actually blogged. I'll maybe, when I get a chance here, share the link with listeners in the chat area. It is courtesy of medium.com. I've got a little profile set up there that I have not actually updated recently, but go ahead.
All links are in the description. So all you folks can find everything about Japhy and WPRPN in the description. If I don't have that link, Japhy will send it to me and I will add it to the description. But I believe I was very thorough, and I put everything that I knew of for you guys to make contact with them, all that stuff. So that's what I had to add, brother. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. What I'm actually going to do here is just clicking on the link, it's just redirecting me right now to WPRPN.com/Japhy, and scrolling down. Do we have the Medium link there? Yes, in fact, we do. It's at the bottom of the page. So from there, people click on the Medium link at the bottom of my profile page via WPRPN.com. it'll redirect you to, if you want to get in a little more as to the backstory on things, Blabbing with ISIS and the NSA, Part 2, Operation Mindfuck, but Blabbing with the ISIS and the NSA. Just check it out and see what you think, I guess. There's a few other stories as well. Close Encounters of the Flaming Kind. That actually deals with my father, who had I guess what some would describe as a close encounter experience of sorts, him and a couple family members, but people want to take a look at what that was all about. Radio Wars, if you're interested in getting more up to speed on the Leo Ashcraft Art Bell drama that occurred a number of years ago, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, actually,
and
this
what
business
a drama that was, brother.
Blabbing with ISIS and the NSA. That's the one, though, as far as blab.im is concerned. And from there, though, what happened was I found this guy. He popped up on my computer screen one day, and it was right prior to us launching our first Operation Secret Santa, if you can believe that. Basically what had happened is that, and a lot of people don't know this, but I've been working here in South Korea in the capacity of a professional elf now for the past 16 years, what I like to regard as my 16 tours of duty. So, but that it just, I can't recall exactly how it happened. Santa Claus might have just delivered it via smoke signals or something like that, perhaps. Definitely not via the 5G Wi-Fi network, though. I'll tell you that much. So, but it did show up just one day, kind of landed at my doorstep, and there it was, this Operation Secret Santa project and enterprise that took root from its seeds and origins, which I think really more or less just materialized, to tell you the truth, clear out of the ethereal realm, one might even say. So, but right around, just shortly following this, as things were taking off, the evolution of the first initial Operation Secret Santa, this pirate type character popped up on my computer screen. I kid you not. And he was there all, bleary eyed and bushy bearded. And we got to talking, shooting the shit, basically, and ended up discussing or coming around somehow to the idea of how wouldn't it be something to put together a pirate radio themed podcast. In fact, as I recall, 805, was it 805 or 803? Pirate Cali Radio was his whole thing that he kept just repeating over and over again. And we call him AWOL Aaron because, as things turned out, he only ended up sticking around for about half a dozen shows or so, and he just was gone. He disappeared. Although there is a chance he may return for a bit of a visit this go round. And so just, if my math is indeed accurate, what we're looking at here is the fourth Operation Secret Santa, which has been growing from the grassroots level entirely. No big George Soros type funding or support working, here behind the scenes or anything along those lines, neither from the taxpayer nor private donations in any big way at all. Strictly out of pocket and strictly running on the basis of people's kindness and generosity. So I'm not sure if there's more that you want me to do as far as fleshing out the details as with respect to the development and evolution of things. But just to be clear, it was later after this point that I would say, World Pirate Radio Podcast Network, WPRPN.com, was an idea that, once again, just more or less popped up out of the blue. It seemed to be almost like a natural extension of things. And I'm the kind of guy who likes to, I'm not so sure if you'd say likes to think big so much is not afraid to think big. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, you're crazy, you can't do that, or don't do that, or what have you. But to me, that has long been an issue. So I encourage people very much to dream big, and don't let them, you know, rain on your parade, as it were, or try to shut you down. They will. Almost guaranteed there will be people out there who will try to shut you down, whatever it is that you're trying to launch independently, you know, on your own. So,
well, that's true.
Myself,
I mean, you
yeah,
know that, brother.
Go ahead.
No,
sure.
That's so true. I mean, the adversity and the trolls both you and I have met along the way, just since my short time being affiliated, we both know what I'm talking about. We don't need to give that person any airtime. You can tell the story if you want, but there are a lot of people that try to undermine a lot of things, and Japhy's went through that online. It wasn't trolling. We don't care about trolls. Trolls are irrelevant. But when you have people directly besmirch a good person, then that changes the game in my book, because, you know, my honor, my loyalty, that's something that I hold sacred, and so does Japhy, I believe.
I'm sorry, you said honor and what else?
Loyalty and honor.
Oh yeah.
Those are the two things that are sacrosanct. And it's like I can't remember the name of the movie, but the guy says it was Al Pacino when he did Scarface. He said, "I got two things in this world I don't break: my word and my balls." And that's kind of the way, you know, I look at it.
Yeah, loyalty and honor, absolutely, definitely. So, you know, we were talking just, I guess, a day or two ago now, I guess, Kaiser, and this whole business of Aryanism came up with respect to, well, I don't know, what's the first thing that you think of when you hear the term Aryan? Everyone has their own reaction and response, but it means different things to different people, believe it or not. No comment. Or did we lose you?
I guess we just had some dead air. I didn't hear that. I had to step away for 1 second. What was your question?
Oh, you're talking loyalty and honor.
Right.
And, well, I was just asking you, when you hear the word Aryan, what does that mean to you?
Oh, to me, it doesn't mean anything, except for that's where the Persian term is Iran. So I don't know where we're going with this, but okay.
Well, just Aryan being the noble ones. So.
Oh yeah, okay. I got you.
You know, and it's frankly, you know, there's different people that look at it different ways, but myself, I'm of the, I guess, the camp or the view that believe that anyone can be Aryan, that as Martin Luther King Jr. put it, you judge people based on the content of their character, not by the, you know, the color of their skin or whatever ethnicity it is you think they may be of or they espouse. So, yeah, the content of one's character, and I guess their character is based upon, and, you know, should be, you determine that based on their deeds, I suppose, their actions, their words. But yeah, Aryan and the noble ones really is quite simply all it means, this nobility. So that's what I strive for every day, frankly. I mean, why not? Try to improve yourself. Try to, I mean, who wants to
Well, you
it's just something. It's an important kind of central core value that I hold.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
You shared something earlier. It was in a meme fashion, but I can't remember the exact quote. But it pertained to this. Let me pull it up. For a man to conquer himself is the first and noblest of all victories. And you know who said that? It was Plato. And so we can all talk this, that, and the other, but I think WPRPN, that's probably one of the core tenets. I think it's about us becoming better men, and it should be that way. And women, I mean, remember, we have a female that comes on the show, and good person, strong person. She's an advocate for firearms. I've interviewed her before, and I will interview her again. And that's Princess J. Bird Wells. And I know that's a second shout out, but remember, a family is strong because of the man and the woman, and you chose that woman. And that's what I try to tell everybody that knows me. You know, I've been married going on 26 years now. So these are things that are important. And Japhy's had Japhy can tell you his business if he wants. But like I said, it's about relationships, and can you maintain those relationships? That, if you can see, there's an old, Japhy, if you can remember who said this, I'll give you the $1 prize, because honestly, I do not remember. But there was somebody who once had written, Kings fear childhood friends. And what that means is they know friends from childhood cannot be broken. And it's the same thing with Waffenbrüder, you know, the weapon brothers, the brothers who are forged by the fires of combat. It's the same philosophy. And that comes from, I've worked with differing countries and even met people from the opposing side of one of my conflicts. And I can honestly say that I would trust them with my lives. And that's, I guess, I went long-winded there, Japhy. Keep going on, because I'm loving how you started it up, and I just hijacked the conversation. So keep going on, and how WPRPN was forged after Aaron came in and all that, because that was getting deep and good.
Yeah, AWOL Aaron. So hopefully we'll be hearing back from him this Christmas season, and Operation Secret Santa itself is launching, as anyone who has been following things will know, just within the course of, not even 48 hours from now. Actually, I'm going to be pretty busy. We've got this live show and conversation that we're logging here with you tonight, Kaiser, and then all within the matter of not even another 12 hours, we've got to put out episode number 133 of Pirate Radio Podcast. That's the annual 2018 retrospective. And then the day after, Sunday, here in Korea, that's Saturday, back in the West, we'll be kicking off our first 1 hour segment of the 10-day Operation Secret Santa World Christmas Charity World, the way it's phrased actually technically is simply this World Christmas Charity Auction and Talent Telethon Extravaganza. So AWOL Aaron, yeah, very much looking forward to having him drop by. Of course, we've got a lot of items that are being put up on the auction block. There are people that we are pledging our support towards, to which we are challenging anyone out there, of course, listeners, to either meet or beat.
And all those links are in the description, brother.
Yeah.
Just wanted to
so, sure. You know, these are only increments, really, $50 to $100, no more than that. But these people and their lives do mean a lot to us, really. We've heard their stories and the struggles that they've had to endure, and we really do believe and have concluded they are genuine and bona fide and are worthy of our support. Of course, if others have people that they'd like to see sponsored in any way, let us know, and we'll share that as well with the wider listing world. As far as the items themselves that we'll be putting up in the auction block, what we're going to be doing is just, of course, taking bids, but right from the get-go, just putting out a starting bid price as compared to the standard retail market value. So, if people get in on things early, they'll be able to get a hell of a deal, maybe even a bit of a steal, which, given the fact that we're all just really a bunch of pirates here, would make even more sense, I suppose, wouldn't it? So who knows how things are going to actually go down this year. But yeah, we look forward to having Secret Santas definitely step up to the plate and put their support behind, either our charitable causes or the charities that they themselves want the world to maybe think about a little more, or what have you. So it all just really depends. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Cool.
Now, tell everybody more of I think everybody's more riveted with Operation Secret Santa is real. I'm involved with it, but and I'm a big supporter and fan of it. But I really want to focus right on from the time you and Aaron started it, and more of the struggles of creating it. Some of the people that tried to derail, because it has been a struggle. But look, his performance is growing. People listen to it, and they know that this is that time of year. It's the one time of year that I know of that Japhy will actually have an eggnog, and a literal eggnog. And he is, like I said, I want him to talk more than me, but that's where I wanted to go, was everything that the struggles, the personal things, that kind of thing, so people understand that it wasn't given to you. You've worked very hard to fucking make an awesome thing.
Yeah, it's come about over the course of the past couple of years, and it's all been growing incrementally. More people hearing about WPRPN, Operation Secret Santa, Pirate Radio Podcasts. And just to be clear, Pirate Radio Podcasts is the flagship to the wider network, WPRPN.com, standing for simply World Pirate Radio Podcast Network. I just actually whipped up my first batch of eggnog here this year, a few moments prior to us going live. Now that you mention it, so it's an opportunity for me to get a bit of a glow on, I suppose, if I can manage that. Still try to think and talk straight at the same time, hopefully. But that I chalk up to my ancestral heritage and what I like to regard, or I call my religion, basically. I do believe that we all live and lead our own religion. But that's part of mine, simply for the fact that it's what I choose to do, and I believe in that. It's handed down. Actually, well, the recipe itself was just recently rediscovered last year. Captain Long John Sinclair's long-lost pirate Christmas eggnog recipe. We actually put that up as part of our Patreon premium content that we allowed our premium subscribers to access. So had a lot of fun with that. I'm not sure how we're going to do it this go around, but yeah, going back, because you've asked me now, and I'm going to try to answer it, I guess, in as direct a manner as possible to make as clear as possible. AWOL Aaron, well, we first hatched or launched the idea of doing a pirate radio show together. It grew to the point, and like I said, after I guess it was about half a dozen, maybe 8 shows at the most, as I can recall, that he just bailed basically and disappeared. I'm not sure what the deal was there exactly. Pirates, it can be any number of different things, really. So, but I carried on from there, of course, and Operation Secret Santa, just once again, just for the record, so that everybody is aware, AWOL Aaron had nothing to do with that whatsoever. He met me, actually, after Operation Secret Santa via blab.im was already underway. So, and just to remind listeners, yet again, that following the show note links that, Kaiser, you've provided in the description area, that people can click on WPRPN. I think it's /simply Japhy. The bottom of the page there, the Medium blog profile that I have put together, Blabbing with ISIS and the NSA, is the place that you're going to want to look there, and you can maybe get filled in a few more of the details. So, but yes, indeed, it has, the dark night of the soul. I know, because you've asked about the challenges now, that with things evolving to the point that they have now, of course, but there was this, what I refer to as simply dark night of the soul. Have to excuse me. We got some cats here that are running restless and amok on the down here in Skullport Harbor. So,
as another
hopefully
pet lover, I totally understand. I'm sure the whole audience is. And when he goes into the dark night of the soul, what I'll say is, I posted that meme. I don't think I have ever seen your specific kind of crazy, but I definitely admire your total commitment to it. And that means you got to be crazy, just like me and him are, to keep doing this. And it's not like we make any money on it. This is a labor of love. And so, yeah, keep going, brother. I just had to fill everybody in on why that meme is so dank.
Well, the dark night of the soul for me really was a question of whether this was really my calling or not, versus perhaps being what Tommy Shutter has suggested as the so-called the imposter syndrome, I guess as it's known. I had never really heard of it until he brought that up when I had floated the idea past him a couple of years ago. But, public speaking, once again, it some people have it naturally, a real flair and a natural gift. Others simply have got to work at it a little more. And to get over that, I suppose, what is a conscious fear of sorts or unconscious fear, these mental barriers that exist, along with the fact that practice does make perfect, I do believe, and that going back and listening to the past conversations we did manage to archive, that, looking back, you can see the progress that you make along the way. I'm sure, Kaiser, with the line of work that you've, busied yourself or that you've endured with over the years, same kind of deal. Look around to sports. Doesn't matter. It can be anything, any example, right. Cooking or what have you. Practice makes perfect. So that's really what is most important to keep in mind, or at least that's what I keep telling myself every chance I can. So, but this, like I said, once again, is a little different for me to be on this end of the conversation. Typically, I simply just have to play the role of the host, right, rather than that of the guest. It's a little different when you're in the hot seat. You've got to be a little more on the ball and on point, and and so on and so forth. So,
but you've proven your stick-to-itiveness. That's the whole point.
Jesus, that's a $10 word.
Yeah.
Stick-to-itiveness. Never heard that one before.
I come up with a lot of them, right? But you know that. But you come up with these things, and you know that it's right and true, and that's what you get. Look, my experience with Japhy, besides the other stuff, on the midweek muck-arounds, when you guys listen to them, the back catalog is there on YouTube until they take it down or whatever. And just like they'll take mine down, whatever. But the fact remains, there's been a growth with everything. And my point being was this network, the fascinating point is seeing how it's evolved, where it was just, before I knew it, there was Japhy and Aaron, and some other people would bounce in and out. Some people trying to undermine Japhy, honestly. And I came in right about the time that was happening. If he wants to get into it, he can. And he still persevered. And that kind of perseverance is what makes a man. And I guess that's my point. So it's inspirational in a way. I know you don't look at it like that, Japhy, but you know, as a dispassionate observer, which I can say, we may be friends, and I've been brutally honest with you. You've been brutally honest with me. That's what we do. But this stands for something. It's not just muff fake. And I guess that's why I really want to focus on the adversity at this point, because there has been some. And you know what I'm talking about. And that'd be an interesting story because a lot of people don't know it. You don't have to mention names, trust me.
Well, actually, I'm not even able to read your mind at this particular moment, although I'm sure you have, whoever it is you have in mind, definitely, let me in on things. But what I will say at this particular juncture is that it's competitive. There's a lot of great podcasters and live streamers out there, period. You look at, who were we talking about earlier, just before we, kick things off here, Sargon of Akkad, all these big names, Styx and X and Hammer, 666, Stefan Mullion, and just the list goes on. The guys from Red Eyes, Alex Jones, like these are the whales that are present and prominent, and they do deserve and warrant the people's attention and respect and so on and so forth. Whereas, us, the hillbillies and hicks, as it were, as I know you love that hillbilly term. So, it takes more work and more finesse, but that makes the victory all that much sweeter, as far as I can tell.
As far as I'm circumcised, I got that from you, brother.
Yeah, there you go.
I agree. No,
trademark that one.
Yeah, exactly. I was just talking about, without saying it, I'll just say the little code word he used to use, the fox. You know what I'm talking about now.
Oh yeah, well, that's no big deal. I mean, that's nothing. I mean, there's a lot of those kind of people out there, and you can't take those sort of things personally when people, because you're bound to attract your haters as well as the people who are, speak out on your behalf and are willing to support you and drop by and check out what it is that you put out there on a semi-regular basis. So anyways,
but the fact remains, he purposefully got into everything to purposefully undermine you. That was the point that I was trying to bring up. It was no big deal. It didn't even have an effect on us, I don't think, hardly at all. And he's just wandered off, and he's busied himself with some other issue somewhere else now, I'm quite sure. So that's typically how it works. You just ignore these people and they go away. Yep. Don't feed the baby. That's right.
But if we could, let's talk a little bit more about Operation Secret Santa and WPRPN as far as the nuts and bolts are concerned. I'm not sure if you had any more questions regarding those matters, but I'd be happy to try to answer them as best I could.
Well, no, I mean, Operation Secret Santa, I guess the breakdown is, I guess, for folks, there's a listing of stuff on Japhy's page. And on that, in the description of the links, there is no money being made. I guess go into the thing that this is not a fundraiser for us. It's a fundraiser. If you want to go into, the only person that, you know, I really am concerned with is Christina Taft. I can't remember her last name. Is it just Christina Taft? I thought there was another.
Yeah,
part
that's
to her
it.
name.
It's
Okay.
Christina Taft.
Yeah, and she's the only one because her mother died in a fire that happened. I think it was a camp fire in California. That's somebody who lost everything and her mother, and she's even been featured in a documentary by a Canadian television channel over that fire. So, anyways, yeah, if you want to do, you know, talk a little bit about that, that's fine. But like I said, it's all about you, Japhy. So the point is, you know, I just want people to know Japhy Ryder.
Yeah, well, I've been living here for the past 16 years in Korea, and you know, people, all they have to do is follow my social media links if they're so inclined, and you know, they like to do get a clear sense of, I guess, what I'm all about and what makes me tick. So that would be about the extent of things, really. On top of that, or outside of that, rather, all I'd be able to do is provide any response that I can possibly muster, depending on what questions you have. But you know, who is Japhy Ryder? Well, that's a bit of an enigma at times, I suppose. Although, what was that song by Chris Christopherson? He's a walking, talking. He's a walking contradiction, partly truth and partly fiction, taking every wrong direction on his lonely way back home.
Love it.
That's a great line, yeah. So it's called The Pilgrim, I think, maybe. And he, one of the versions I heard him do back in the day, he dedicated it to Dennis Hopper and Johnny Cash, and I forget who else there was in the mix there, as it were. But you know, who the hell are we anyways when it, you know, it comes right down to it? I really don't know. But, you know, for me, once again, going back to that principle of nobility and maintaining one's integrity, which is something I think that the Tao actually talks about, believe it or not, you know, the Tao Te Ching. So, which is the central book and just the world of Taoism itself. You know, the Tao Te Ching is very important, along with books such as the so-called the I Ching, the Book of Changes, and so forth. So, but you can bet that given the fact that I've not been back to Canada in the past 10 years, that Korea has very much influenced me. And not that I came looking well, that's not really true, I suppose, because I did, back in my university days, actually take a few classes dealing with Asian, I guess it was anthropology, anthropological studies, and so forth. So had my fair dose of exposure to ancient classical Chinese studies, modern Chinese studies. In fact, it was interesting. One of our professors that I remember we had just during college as a lecturer, he had said to have been a former employee of the CIA. This is out of Victoria, Canada, is where he found himself located at that point.
That's not uncommon.
Yeah, well, and he said very, it was in a kind of, you know, very open, matter of fact manner that the reason And I'm not sure if this is his personal experience or not, or he was encouraging maybe others to just be aware of this or what have you. But there's a lot of recruitment on university campuses. The history departments in particular, I think, was what he said, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason being is, yeah, because they're information and data collectors, that
And
they're
journalism.
able to. I guess so, and hence all that much more reason why Operation Mockingbird would make total sense. So, which is really a shame if you think about it, though, because that's a total hijacking of the free press, as it were, and in what they have done over, well, since it's been in place, the 1950s, just looking at institutional media, establishment media as a whole, that they've performed a major mindfuck on the American public and the West in general, I suppose, too, really, because it's no different. You could say clear across the globe, I suppose, but it's dishonest reporting and dishonest journalism. You know, they're very capable, very bright, but that doesn't mean they're honest.
No,
not by any stretch of the imagination.
You're exactly right. Even my brother Arminius, he's still in Germany now, and my other brother who's down in somewhere else, who's also former, he's a German. But anyways, they'll say even in their colleges, look, the proof is in the pudding. Anderson Cooper. Not getting into his personal life, but he's not the most stalwart person. But he is the grandson, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, of, she used to make jeans, Vanderbilt, Gloria Vanderbilt. And Gloria Vanderbilt comes from Admiral Vanderbilt, who went against William Walker when William Walker was the first and only president of Nicaragua that was an American. A lot of people don't know about William Walker, but he was somebody who I read about in the 8th grade, and I decided that was going to be my life. I still have not been a president of a foreign country, but there's still time. I'm not dead yet.
That wouldn't be any relation to the same Walker clan of which the recently deceased George Herbert Walker Bush was a part of, would it?
No, not at all. This guy was from Tennessee. It's a long story. If you read book, I'll tell you the book that changed my life, and it's a quick read. It's probably 100 pages, maybe a little more, maybe 120. I still have it. It's the only thing I've ever stolen in my life. I've admitted to it on my podcast. I stole it from my elementary school's library, or I guess middle school at that time, 8th grade. And it was called The Life and Times of William Walker. And they called him a filibuster. That's what they used to call people like that. You know, there's always been derogatory terms for people. But he ran afoul of Vanderbilt because, of course, Vanderbilt was pushing to get all the bananas, all the coconuts, everything that was being done, and whatever it was, coffee in Nicaragua. I can't remember all the stuff from the book, but the interesting part was it was probably the least violent takeover of a nation that you've ever seen, and there's still a monument to him there. It's not like some statue or something, but there's a little placard that's how it was done, and it was one of the first effective civilian coup d'etats that's ever happened. They thought more was happening than was, and the government just folded, and he took place. And there's a smear job on him. I believe HBO made it, and there's a movie, and it's a good actor who I respected, but he went along with the smear job on William Walker. So this stuff has been going on for quite a while, going back to Mockingbird. I only bring that up to elucidate what you were just saying.
Yeah, and Operation Mockingbird, Anderson Cooper here said to be, well, his mother, Gloria Vanderbilt, let's see, to 92, is the great-great-great-granddaughter of shipping tycoon Cornelius Vanderbilt, and grew up under the custody of her aunt, something or another. So there's a People magazine article, and there's several others. It's not the sort of thing that they're able to cover up very well. But yeah, he's well-known, long-time CIA asset.
Yeah.
You know, so he although he's tried to distance himself from that, but it's not all that easy to do.
Yeah, he says he was an intern. I've never heard of a CIA intern.
Yeah. So, what can you say? What can you do? But yeah, I'm not sure what more you'd like from me here, Shuff. If we've covered all the bases or not, feel free to pepper me with a few more questions, perhaps here as we maybe wind things down. It's getting to be about midnight here in South Korea, and I've got the next live stream with the 2018 retrospective is coming up in a little more than 12 hours from now. And as I stated earlier, just the next day we're going to be launching our first segment of Operation Secret Santa.
Important.
And we encourage everybody to drop by and share with us, Christmas stories, and you can offer Christmas wishes if you like. There's anything goes, frankly. It doesn't have to be. And when we talk about donations, let's just be, we should have made this clear from the get-go, but we're not even talking about money necessarily. Just share the links. Just pass links on to people and get the information out there. We've put the Google Drive, the folder there is in place and hopefully accessible, easily accessible enough. And but when stepping forward and sponsoring someone so that you take on the role of a Secret Santa, as we have done, we have pledged our support for, it's about 5 people now altogether, and this, you can either be secret or not. That's completely up to you. We have chosen, I guess, in this context of things, not to be, but you can put money forward and pledge your support in that form, or food, that works. If somebody in your region is maybe a little bit hungry, or maybe it's time, don't you think, to drop by the local food bank with a bit of an offering, if you can possibly manage that. Clothing, that always works too, let's not forget. As well as any, other thing you can possibly imagine. It's very ad hoc. Barter or employment as well too, let's not forget. So it's really wide open, and all we're doing here is really one of the main functions, at least with respect to Operation Secret Santa, is putting people in touch with one another. So if you think you can help someone, we'll suggest somebody, and you can take it from there. Take a look at their story and decide whether you feel that's the way you'd like to do it. Or you can just offer, we will accept donations, although we do not in any way directly solicit those. To tell you the truth, we'd prefer you not send us donations, just to be very clear. You can if you like. We will accept them, but we prefer that they be just redirected to that person, or to the people that we've earmarked and that we have on our list, or anyone else that you can come up with. And just share with us your stories, your stories of goodwill, and what is Christmas? What does it mean to you? What is the Christmas spirit all about? Why does it seem that every go round, every year, that there is a certain magic in the air that fills so much of the space that we occupy? And it's just different from maybe similar to Halloween, believe it or not. I guess if you look at the pagan roots, you could make a bit of a comparison, although it's a little different as well too, given the fact that this is winter solstice that we are entering into, and some of the darkest and deepest days of the year. It's the Earth, at least this part of the world where we find ourselves located in relation to the equator, it's like it's a big freeze. A refrigerator is how things are shaping up here in Korea, quite similar to where I was raised and spent a fair deal of my youth and out there in British Columbia back in the day.
Yep.
But I guess not quite as cold, thank God. How are things there in Ohio, though? How do they compare to other places around the world, Kaiser?
Well, yesterday and today I was able to go out in a t-shirt with short sleeves. So that's really how it was. The one thing I wanted to say, Secret Santa, to boil it down into a couple sweet words, we are facilitators for you to be able to get that Christmas glow. You had said that earlier by drinking your secret recipe of eggnog. And so,
sure, that's the captain's. It's a long lost family recipe of Captain Long John Sinclair. We recently recovered that just this past year, and that we put that up. It was accessible via Patreon. Any of our people who are our premium subscribers were able to get their hands on that, and we're hoping to do something more with that again this go around.
And one thing we plan on doing is for the network, if you guys want to actually directly sponsor, of course, you have the Patreon, you have WPRPN.com. You can subscribe to that. There's also ways that I'll let you cover on that kind of stuff, on how people can actually earn money for that or whatever. However that thing works. I can't.
You just read my mind. Just read my mind. That was one of the last things I want to talk about. Absolutely.
And the more important thing is, to me, is like, share, comment on every video you see. Because that's important. And it doesn't have to be a good comment. If you think the show was whatever, it was whatever. But the facilitation of giving you that Christmas glow, that you went and did something for somebody else, you don't even have to tell us. Maybe you could write us a thing in a comment saying, you know, using your fake name that you're probably using on YouTube. You could say, hey man, thanks man, I took your advice and I donated blah 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 to this person or that person. It doesn't have to be monetary. You can give somebody clothing, food, you know, maybe shelter. You know, you don't know what you don't know what effects your actions are gonna have, for good or bad, to any person, until you actually have made that action, taken that decision to make that action.
Yeah, you know, I know what it's like to be homeless. I was myself homeless back in the late 1990s. I guess it was around 97, 98, thereabouts, over back in Vancouver for a couple of days. That city's just grown to be a little too rich for my blood, which is ironic given the fact that it's the land of my birth. But in the end, had to make the decision to leave Canada altogether and seek out greener pastures over here in Asia. So, but for me, I've always had a certain part of me which has taken consideration of the other person, not necessarily just myself all the time. And sometimes that's led to situations maybe where I've ended up maybe not coming out, shooting myself in the foot is one of the expressions I was going to use. But, you know, as the old saying goes, looking out for number one. And that's what it takes to survive for the most part in this world. Yeah, at the same time, it's amazing what you can do with a little bit of generosity and how far that can go in. Well, you know, Christmas is a time of year too, let's not forget, where it's said to be the highest rate of suicide. I think that's right around the world, probably in the Western world. Could be other places. That's how the story goes, at least. So, but that's one of the reasons why we decided to embark on this path and to dedicate ourselves to this annual campaign. And a lot of people, too, let's not forget something really important to keep in mind. We want to talk about the subscription end of things, too. Don't let me forget, Shuff. I'm glad you reminded me. So hopefully the eggnog hasn't got too much to my head already and let it completely slip my mind. But the people say, oh, the Christmas campaign, well, I'm not religious. Well, who said it had to do anything with religion? You know, and it's like, yeah, I'm not a Christian. It's like, well, who said anything about Christianity? It doesn't have to be. Like, you make it anything you want. And then other people say, well, Santa Claus, and I'm not a big fan of Santa Claus or Rudolph. And it's like, who said anything about it? It doesn't have to. You can take them completely out of the equation. That's fine. We don't care, you know, or, you know, so on and so forth. Any excuse under the book, it seems, not to want to participate or be a part of things. So, which to me is really quite interesting. It's, I guess, a reflection of where people, where their heads and hearts are at, unfortunately, in all too many different, you know, all too many cases.
Yep.
But it's really about, it's just giving a little bit, helping out a little bit, pitching in, and doing what you can, as you say, Shuff, to, you know, bring a smile to someone's face who maybe they have given up on life, maybe they've given up on humanity, and we're here to show them that there are people out in the wider world, potentially complete strangers, people they've never even met, who are willing to help them out in some small way. No, we can't shower you with all sorts of riches,
Right.
thousands of dollars in money and new houses and cars or what have you. But we can make token gestures, and we can maybe help to point you in a certain direction. And from that point, who really knows what further outcome could arise?
Well,
so
sometimes I think, and I've experienced this in my life. So you've shared something in your life. I'll share something in mine. It was amazing. You know, I'm a bastard. Everybody knows I'm a bastard. But that just means I know my father's name. I just don't know him. I've never met him. Have no idea, you know, what he looks like, anything. But I can tell you, the bastard, or that man, has never missed a child support payment when I was young. That's a fact. But what I will tell you also is now you got to remember, at 17, I was enlisting in the Army, and I'm flying to my basic training. I sit next to this old guy. I'll never forget it. Well-dressed, well-groomed, gray-headed. Looking back, it's a pretty phenomenal conversation. It was from Columbus to Atlanta. So a 45, 50-minute flight maybe. And we have this conversation, and somehow it gets over to parentage, you know, because in Ohio, I was born back in late 60s, and they would put a B next to your name. I have a twin sister, so she has that B too, so you can't say that meant boy. It meant bastard child, and it was meant to fuck you for the rest of your life because you didn't have a father. That's why Ohio did that. And I still have the original copy of my birth certificate. So the interesting part is he was a bastard, and dude's got a gold watch, dressed to the nines, this, that, and the other, and here I am heading off into my adventure, and he's like, you can do whatever you want to do. So sometimes somebody listening and talking to you can, will, and always makes the difference. And that's for real.
Absolutely. It just really depends. So there are those intense life-changing moments and incidents that can affect us all, and that stick with us for the duration of our lives. We remember until the day we die, whereas there's many other memories that'll just fade away, and unless, I guess, you're keeping a diary, that's be forgotten about. So do you know that the word bastard, actually, my understanding, the term just simply means a child who's born out of wedlock. The parents aren't married. That's all.
Right. No, you're exactly right. That's why it's on my twin sister's birth certificate too. So there's a lot of backstory to a lot of that stuff. It's convoluted, but the point is real. It was built to screw me. And it was built to screw her. She's a nurse, and I do what I do. So they lost. Fuck them.
In closing, you did bring up the whole business of the subdomain, the network URLs. It's something that's important for people to know about.
Yep.
And they can look into things further if they like. Drop us a line, pirate1radio@gmail.com or pirate1radio@protonmail.com. That's how you can reach the captain. My personal email is simply jc_collins@protonmail.com. And, minds.com, that's another great place to get in touch with me if you want to track me down. Facebook, not so much. Twitter, reasonably so. Here on Skype, of course, we hang out from time to time and have the sort of conversations as to what has taken place here tonight with myself and Kaiser. But yes, indeed, the way things work with respect to the subscriptions, the subdomain URLs, is you can, even without even signing up or enlisting as a member in the network, and you can see examples of what have been put together when you log on to WPRPN.com and you look up to the top main row of what you see on your screen. It'll say member sites. Click on there. And as well, off to the, I guess it's the far right corner. I don't have actually the homepage up in front of me right now, but pretty sure that's the way things are laid out. It'll say Operation Secret Santa. You can click that on and it'll take you in a little further and give you more of a sense of what's going on. So, but yes, these subscriptions,
Yep.
What we have to offer people is, I hate to use the term kickback, but it's a little bit of loot. Most definitely. We're cutting them a piece of the action. And, this past year we had launched Operation Divvy the Booty. So that's which is a long-standing it's a long-standing term in the world of high seas piracy, that this concept of, I guess, even, the mob, as far as that whole business goes, they're all about dividing the pie, that sort of deal. So that's their expression, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
It's all percentages, is all it is. But the way things work is that if you bring someone to the network, and once again, you can be have already signed up or not, it doesn't matter. If you bring someone to the network, let us know who it is that has sent them, and we will see to it that a full 1/3 of their registration fee, the annual subscription, finds its way back to you. If they continue and stay on with us for another year, you'll continue to receive that money, and so on and so forth. It's I mean, how could anyone disagree with that? It's a sort of thing too, because so much, and I think Kaiser sees this, but what we're laying out here and what we're in pursuit of is the sort of thing that really I have not personally seen too much online to this point with any other podcasts or live streamers in any way. But one of the things I will admit is, more common than not, are these T-shirts or other forms of merchandise that we're now slowly it looks like managing to get into place, and hopefully we'll be launching here before too long. Do you want to talk about those T-shirts, Kaiser?
Oh yeah, the gentleman's basically a libertarian, awesome dude. Has a family, and it's a mom and pop run thing, and we support him. I'm not gonna mention the name or something. I'm waiting for that for when everything gets done, but we hope to have it out for Operation Secret Santa. And it's just a test run because he wants to see what kind of interest there is. But it is basically World Pirate Radio Podcast Network.com and the news, especially, World Pirate Radio News. And that whole thing, the design he came up with, Japhy, you know what my boomer ass came up with for the design. And can you say that his redesign of it, what's your thoughts on it? I think the people would want to hear this.
Well, I think he's got the right idea, most definitely. So, bottom line, though, ultimately what we like to see is people having the option to customize from their own
future runs.
Yeah, in the future, the way we got things set up, launching a store, and hell, we've even talking about some cryptocurrency potentially. All we need to do is find someone who's able to put the code together for us. So as far as the T-shirts and merch goes, coffee mugs and so forth, same kind of deal, where people are able to customize, choose, and select their own designs as they would like them. It's really that simple. Yep. But with the ones that were put forward by our artist friend that I just saw today, actually, I thought were great. And those will suffice, most definitely. It's got what it takes, and if the people are happy with it, the general public out there, then all that much better.
Exactly, and the beautiful part about it is, it's an interesting way that he does business, and we'll advertise for him when everything kicks off. Anyways, the point being is, when I was in the military and also as a cop, we used to have this chum store where every agency has it and every military branch has it. T-shirts, this, that, and the other, right? Coins, whatever, coffee mugs. And you'd buy this stuff so you could hand it out to other cops, other military members from other countries, whatever. You pay very little money, but it gives you a lot of credit with those people you're working with. And basically, it'll be the Robin Hood's chum store coming right out of the galley, mate. And you guys are getting it fresh from us to you. And it's quality stuff. Trust me.
Actually, while you were unloading that for the wider listing world, I was over, pressed for time here, trying to, via minds.com, share some content over on Facebook. And I tell you, man, it's like they could not make that process any more difficult, I don't think. It's ridiculous with the CAPTCHA process they have set up there. And I'm squinting my eyes to try and work out which of the pictures is not a bicycle. I can't quite see. It's like, come on, Facebook. I mean, they've, I think, come to the point now where they've realized minds.com, it says, oh, we think this link may be insecure. Right. No, we think it's a threat. That's how you see things there, Mr. Zuckerberg. So it's a threat, and absolutely.
I told you about that. Once you add the links, once it has minds on it, I've stripped them before. But on this one, it's my podcast, and I'm going to share it. And I'm sharing it fresh on my channel. And they even put a whole different picture up on my own channel on Facebook. So you know, it's getting out on my channel, so the people are getting all the links if they come to my channel. Period.
Your channel on where exactly? Do they get all the links?
They also got it if they're on my channel on Zoxy. They also have it on my channel on Minds. They have the links everywhere that I've thrown them. Gab. It's out there.
Oh, right. You're talking about the show we just did here tonight. Is that right?
Yeah. That's just like
you did a great job there. I looked things over actually, and I was quite impressed. Good. So many thanks, and a tip of the pirate hat to you there, Kaiser.
Matey, and I hope Captain Sinclair gives me a couple new shillings.
Oh, I think the captain quite most certainly does approve.
Awesomeness. Look, the most important thing is you guys got to meet Japhy. I declare him a hell fellow well met. This isn't some money grab weirdness or any of that, but it is a project that he has done that actually makes a lot of sense when you understand why he named, or Captain Sinclair named, the good ship Robin Hood. And you know, I've heard a lot of people say this, that, or the other, but the fact remains, we're not taking from the rich to give to the poor. We're taking from our own pockets and our own hearts and just in our own words, and we're giving to them. Remember, there's 22 a day. I'm a veteran, a war veteran, and I talk to my brothers anytime they have an issue. That's helping. It didn't cost me a dime except minutes, hours maybe, to give that ear to them and give my voice to them. That's all it takes, folks. Like, click, share, cost you nothing, and comment. Or unlike. I don't care either way. And I'm sure Japhy doesn't either. It's,
you know, speaking of time there, Kaiser, speaking of time, well, two things. It's about that time to wrap up, I would say. But secondly, the time that we've talked to a number of people, Halidium Thunder, Tommy Schaefer, Pirate Joe Eminon, all of those people, as a couple of examples. There are others, and maybe even a few more surprises here along the way over the course of the 10-day campaign. But they've donated and put their time up on the auction block so that people who would like to get in touch with these highly skilled and knowledgeable professional individuals and spend, you know, a couple hours with them online. I suppose even in-person meetings could be arranged, but you could end up, you know, picking things up at quite a steal, I think is what I was going to say. So based on the starting bid price, because, you know, a lot of cases, I think one of the examples, Tommy Shutter there with his web tech, the cost of labor that back in the day he was charging, just the standard economic value, $75 per hour. So, I mean, I think we're going to have starting bids on that at around, geez, I don't know, maybe $20 or something like that. So that's a hell of a deal, of course. So, and all for a good cause. Once again, you can either ask that we have that, you know, the donations that are made given directly to the select cases, the beneficiaries that we have in mind and that we've set aside and allotted here ourselves, or you can take that and have it sent to just simply a charity of your own choice. So a lot to be said regarding all these matters. Just bottom line, hoping that people will drop by, check things out, and that will engage us, of course, because that's really what makes the charity auction end of things come to life. Talent as well too. Let's not forget any musicians out there, or if you have any family or friends that would like to join us live on the air as we stream out around the world, by all means, drop us a line, and we'll see what we can do. So, provided you're in tune and
Yep.
you've got an instrument that can play reasonably well, I'm sure there won't be a problem. But, hey, comedians, I'm not sure about magicians. I know sometimes that can be performed. You can do that over the radio, believe it or not, or you can perform magic trick. Mentalism is largely
Yes.
the category that falls under, but it's quite something very fascinating branch of magic. But we look forward to hearing from you more and engaging you listeners out there at some point here along the way. And thank you, Kaiser, for having me very much.
No problem. I want to say
time.
Hello to Johnny Canuck and Ivy. You guys have a good day. I will say with that, we are at the 1:30, 1 hour, 30-minute mark. Japhy does have to go. He's got, like he said, he's got a full plate this weekend. He's going to be very busy. Go over to his channel. If you type in WPRPN, you'll find him in that search on YouTube, and you can listen to all of his streams live. World Pirate Radio Podcast Network will also get you there, but WPRPN is another way to get it. Also, with that being said, Japhy, thank you very much for your time. I'm very happy to have had this time with you, and you guys basically got a conversation for free, always for free with me and him, that we have offline that you guys never hear. So the amount of clarity and honesty that you've heard is what you get, and that's why I like having a small little channel, because we're all there, fam. We're all family. We're tight knit, and you guys can leave and go as you want, and stay. There's nobody holding a gun to your head. With that being said, thank you very much, Japhy, for your time. And I didn't have an intro, and I'm not gonna have I had an intro, which was the Secret Santa, Operation Secret Santa advert, but I won't have an outro. And with that being said, folks, thank you for stopping by. I really enjoyed this time, and I hope you have too. God bless, be well, be safe. Night or day. Good morning now, I guess, for my side, but for him, good night.